There's an actual study that was done that said that C-sections were more likely to happen Friday towards the end of the day.
Get up out of here.
People trying to go home. You still laboring. Oh, you need a C-section.
They took your name, your land, your language, but not your legacy. Reclaim it at AfricanAncestry.com.
Why do you believe maternal mortality rates remain disproportionately high among Black women? And what can we do collectively to reduce these numbers?
The maternal mortality rate is high amongst Black women because of racism, because of white supremacy embedded in a medical apartheid system. I think it's really important to state that because people assume that Black women are unhealthy. You eat junk food, you don't take care of yourself, you live recklessly, all of the stereotypes around Black women based on misogyny, based on misogynoir, specifically the hate that we face as Black women in this country feeds into why the heart of this matter is not addressed. But Black women researchers and doctors put out a report several years ago that said even when you control for things like poverty, education, pre-existing conditions, when you control in the data for all of that, it's still 2 to 3 times more likely for Black women to die during childbirth than white women in the United States. So you have white women who are in poor areas who have a high school education or less, and you have Black women who have access to many resources, highly educated, whatever that means. I'm just repeating the data. And they are facing challenges like we saw with the Serena Williams, who almost died giving childbirth, and so many other cases where Black women are ignored. We're thought that our pain tolerance is higher. So when Black women, this has happened to me, are in the hospital and have said they're in pain, we are literally ignored. It's almost like, how can you be in pain, right?
So what was your personal experience?
My personal experience, I ended up having 2 C-sections with both of my daughters. And my life wasn't at risk, but they went into fetal distress. And so we had to have C-sections for each one of them. But yeah, going into the hospital, which is why Black people don't like going into the hospital.
That's another problem.
You feel it. And when you're pregnant, you're very vulnerable. You can maybe advocate for yourself, maybe you can't. Labor is extremely painful. You're going back and forth. And so what people will tell you is, that's just normal. That's just, you're being hysterical, which is a lot of Black women are told they're being hysterical. Because whenever we advocate for something, it's perceived as like abrasive or aggressive, Black men experience this too, right? When you ask for something, you're someone, why are you being so aggressive? So with Black women, we're in the hospital, and that Blackness, right, translates as aggression, and people try to move away. And so I did not have a near-death experience, but it wasn't a good one, because all through the process, until my own doctor arrived, I was basically ignored.
And why do you think C-sections are so high?
I think that they don't want to bother with Black women, women in general. And also, the United States is a medicalized pregnancy. Pregnancy is medicalized in the United States. And in my opinion, it is really because of the dollars and cents that are involved, right? You're going to pay more for that C-section than you're going to for a natural birth or a vaginal birth, I should say.
And what's wild is that when that's the dynamic between the doctor and patient in that type of situation where a life is being born, it's pretty disturbing, because what nurture and care can you have when you're doing something purposely? You're doing the action that gives you more profits, but it's not beneficial to the patient or the child.
And I have another example that's even more diabolical. We were having a task force meeting about C-sections in New York City. There was one hospital in Brooklyn, Kings County. They were trying to figure out why they have a C-section rate of like 50%. Like you go in the hospital, and at that particular moment, because it's like 51%, you were more likely to have a C-section than a vaginal birth. And one of the nurses spoke up and said that when they send students through the hospital who need surgical hours, right? And so if it's a question, they'll have the C-section because they have the students there who need the surgical hours. And so this was a combination of folks from Kings County and downstate. And this was very alarming, you know, it wasn't addressed, but you know, we're very vulnerable when we're pregnant. And whatever the medical staff is telling you, you gonna listen, because you like, I'm at your mercy. You telling me I need surgery, I'm here pregnant, so I'm leaning towards that. But yeah, and then there's an actual study that was done that said that C-sections were more likely to happen Friday towards the end of the day.
Get up out of here.
People trying to go home. You still laboring. Oh, you need a C-section.